D'Angelo Hall and LeVar Arrington. LeVar, welcome.
Hi, guys. How y'all doing?
No ring crew up here, boy. Look at these franchises we represent.
Marcellus, we'll start with you.
Yes, sir.
Would it be a mistake for Jon Gruden and the Raiders to go all in for Kyler Murray?
Oh, absolutely. It'd be absurd. If you think about it, the ego you're talking about, Chucky, how you do it again? That ego can be satisfied by actually staying pat, keeping Derek Carr, who was a former MVP, but has not looked... Candidate. Yeah. Former MVP candidate, looked nothing like that since the injury. And not even last year did he look like an MVP candidate and rehabilitation with Chucky. But Chucky is smart to play it that way versus going out there and risking his 4 draft choices he has in the first 35 picks. Just like my wife, when we go down Rodale, she's like, ooh, this bag is nice, right? I was like, how much it costs? Every time, how much it costs? What's the price tag? The price tag of getting Kyler Murray, too excessive. So therefore, I'm not looking at it from that scope, especially with the ego play. Fix Derek Carr. And that's going to be a story that gives you the validation of being the quarterback whisperer versus risking everything for Kyler Murray and then rolling the dice and hopefully he hits.
See, I disagree with you. I'm all about drafting Kyler Murray if he falls to you because you can move Derek Carr. You can get some value for him. What is that value? I don't know what that'll be yet. But you know you can get some value for him. You then have a quarterback who's not demanding the kind of salary that Derek Carr is demanding, and then you can put more pieces around him. It's probably not going to fix your team this year, but moving forward, I can see the big picture.
Fall to him. What about go all in and go up
and get him? See, to me, that's not the plan. To me, you're not going to.
But they kicked everybody out of the draft room.
You're right, but I'm not trading away that draft equity that I've built in getting rid of guys like Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Those were really good football players, and you have to justify getting really good football players to replace them. And I just don't see the value in bundling up some picks to move up 3 spaces to go get Kyler Murray.
So you do agree with me.
Especially if...
You do agree with me, because he's not falling to the Raiders. There it is.
I disagree. I think he could. I think he could. If the Cardinals don't pick him number 1, yeah, I don't see nobody else going to move up to go get him.
Go all in for Kyler Murray.
You want me to go? Well, all right, so I'm going to go all in on disagreeing with both of you guys, all right? Here's what I'll say. First, let's start with ego, right? Jon Gruden has a Super Bowl. He does have a ring. We started off the show where the ringless ones. Jon Gruden actually does have a Super Bowl ring. He has proven that he can have success at the NFL level. That's why he's been given the opportunity to go and coach the Raiders at this moment in time to begin with.
$100 million contract, right.
If you're going to come in and be the guy that they're bringing you in to be, do it your way. I don't think that's necessarily connected so much to ego rather than being connected to sensibility of what it is you want your ultimate end result to be. If his goal is to build the type of team that he wants to build to win, then he needs to have the confidence to be able to make those decisions to go do that. If that's moving up to the number 1 pick to bring in Kyler Murray, then that's what it is. Now, with that being said, can he justify doing those things, the draft equity with Amari and with Khalil Mack? Can he justify that by not wanting it to work with Carr? That remains to be seen. But the reality of it is if you've been brought in and you've been paid to do a job, you bring in Mayock, you feel like Mayock can do a great job. I worked with Mayock. I think Mayock does a fine job of evaluating talent. If they feel like this is what they needed to do, and you get rid of a quality guy in McKenzie as the GM, the team has not had success. Regardless of who's been there, Khalil Mack, Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, this team has not transitioned into being an elite team in the NFL. Why not try something different? That would be my thought process.
I just think, to me, it would be crazy because I don't want, honest to goodness, I don't want to be the first person. I went and looked last night and this morning at...
Some people enjoy being the first person. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, just honestly. Like, you know, I don't know.
I disagree with that as well.
Okay.
Not everywhere.
Practice makes perfect. Anyway, so I'm just going to say, Kyler, I don't want to be the first guy to draft the undersized quarterback. Russell Wilson went in the 3rd round appropriately.
But
Doug Flutie went in the 11th round.
What about Drew Brees? What about Drew Brees?
Drew Brees
Second.
didn't go number one overall. He went the second round.
So then we've learned from the past then, right?
Yeah.
Why pass on to Drew Brees or Russell Wilson
But still,
if we know?
If you're telling me you're not going to draft Kyler Murray just because he's 5'10",
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the way he plays the game.
No.
His arm strength.
I can't do it.
Go look at Doug. He's no better than Doug Flutie. He runs
to
better
me-
than Doug. That's it.
Don't do that.
I like where you going.
Doug
played with
Flutie
Doug.
won the Heisman?
To me,
Preach,
Yeah,
T-Ball.
he did win the Heisman. I played with Doug Flutie, and he was a Pro Bowl level player with us in Buffalo. Flutie Flakes. I mean, it was a mania when Doug Flutie hit the NFL.
86 touchdowns in his career.
Oh, I'm not going to look. I'm just going to say skills because he hasn't proven anything at the NFL level.
I mean, what is
he has a
Russell Wilson
greater
doing
arm
right now?
than Doug Flutie in terms of just in the pocket and that. This is
I'm
a
just saying,
baseball
what's
arm.
Russell
And then this is Michael
Wilson
Vick's
doing right now?
mobility, man. Respect that. You combine those two things. The only thing
Still
you can.
5'10".
He's still 5'10", right?
They don't do that at the quarterback position that high. Michael Vick was a 6-footer that went number one overall.
That's being real, like, 6 foot.
yeah.
I mean,
That's a
5'11"
generous
maybe.
6 foot, but-
That's generous.
I mean, I'm just saying you're acting as though, it's almost like when people talk about the combine. What people don't really realize, the difference between a 4.4 and a 4.6 is not very much when you're talking about breaking up a ball as a DB. And so for me, I'm not taking a dude off my board if he runs a 4.6 if he actually plays fast and he makes plays on the ball.
Jerry
and
Rice
so for
had a
me to
slow
just
40.
look at a dude who's 5'10" and think he can't play, everything I see about Kyler Murray tells me he can play football.
Right.
I don't care if he's 5'10". Now, if he's 5'8", 5'7", okay, maybe. But 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, that's still all in that. He could put some cleats on and be 6 feet tomorrow. I mean, so to me, that really doesn't matter if he's 5'10". If he can play football, I want him on my team.
And you survive in this business when you got a layup like a Nick Bosa, like the defensive lineman out of Alabama, Williams. Take those layups.
See, I think
those guys are going to. There's no question.
So you want to play safe.
That's hard.
At
But
that high,
but
don't
that's
need to
not
play
even
safe.
necessarily
At that
safe.
high,
He got a 10-year deal to with. He don't need to play safe. He don't care.
Well, we've known that by his moves so
Yeah,
far.
exactly.
When you talk about Khalil Mack and
Exactly.
others. So
Exactly.
now's the time not to make waves if you're going to make a potential lateral move. Like, you got to really think that Kyler Murray is going to hit, not just hit for top pick, but hit for the other picks you may have to give up to get to that top pick.
what I'm
Because
saying.
Arizona's playing poker. Now, I understand that 2 and 3 San Francisco and the
That's
Jets,
what I'm saying.
they're not thinking about
That's what
quarterback.
I'm saying. He
but
falls.
Arizona's playing some good poker right now. And that's why no one's in the draft.
But you
room.
don't
And you gotta
necessarily
play
have to
poker
play.
as well.
You don't have to necessarily throw Kyler Murray to the Wolves immediately because you do have Derek Carr. You can give him the opportunity to develop and learn what it is that you want to do. See, here's the thing about the draft.
Man, what do you think the atmosphere in that building going to be if they keep Derek Carr and draft Kyler Murray?
That's up to Jay Gruden or Jon Gruden. That's up to Jon Gruden
I
to
think
make
Derek
sure he
has to be
manages
out of
that
here right now.
I'm telling you right now, there is no such thing as an easy layup in the draft. No such thing. Every single person that gets drafted has to go in there with the same state of mind, which is they have to start all over and reprove themselves all over again. I came out as the number 2 highest rated draft pick in the draft. I barely played my rookie season. And the reason why is because when I came in, my philosophy going into it was, okay, I'm the top guy. I'm going to get this opportunity and I'm going to learn on the job. Whereas the guy that was in front of me, Greg Jones, who came out of Colorado, a seasoned vet, did more little things as a vet that I didn't do coming in as a rookie, and it allowed for him to be able to maintain his job and really grow his value for when I did eventually get the job based off of whether it was my draft pick or my play, whichever one. But I was as sure a layup as it could have been coming into the draft. So I don't think that you get lost in, okay, the guy is 6'4" and he can run a 4.40 and can do this and do that. There's a lot of guys that are sitting on couches real quick that came in.
Bosa's not missing.
No,
it'd be I mean,
but
it's
there are
hard to say
numbers
he's a
that
miss,
matter,
but
LeVar.
he still
But the
has to do
numbers
it.
that matter to me are not combine measurables as much as what are you giving up in the process of attaining
That's fair.
him.
And
Think about it. You got
that's what I'm saying.
4 picks in the first 35. If they even call me and say, hey, it's going to take 1, 2, 3, like, what am I doing? I got Derek Carr here who has something in there because the guy was one of the top quarterbacks at one time. Redeem that.
You don't buy McShay's argument that Jon Gruden's already out on Derek Carr? I do buy that.
Oh, yeah, I buy that as well. But I also know that that's based on production. So you change your production, you change his mind. It's just that simple. You may not be in high favor for him, but at the same time, he's basing it on what he's seen. Show him something different.
They may find their value with dealing Derek Carr.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they're
Marcellus,
not going to just give it away.
Come on now. You've seen coaches decide on a narrative, and it doesn't matter what happens. They're not coming off that narrative. And again, and coaches with big egos. And Jon Gruden, to me, has a big ego, and he's off Derek Carr. Derek Carr can do everything perfect this offseason in training camp. Where Jon Gruden's convinced he's not the right play. And I don't think it satisfies, and this is the second question, I just don't think it fully satisfies his ego as an innovator, the way he sees himself. Right now, as much as he's won a Super Bowl, Jon Gruden's known more for being a television broadcaster and Chucky face than being a great X's and O's guy. He's kind of like John Madden won a Super Bowl, but he's known for television.
Yeah.
I think Jon Gruden wants to fix that, and I don't think Derek Carr does enough to fix that.
Look, the caricature is a little greater right now than the coaching in terms of what we think and respect. I'm not going to go to ego play as much as I'm going to go, I doubt his talent evaluation. And I'm going to base it on last year. Once you get the 10-year contract, $100 million, and you know that you have patience on your side and you have a franchise, what are you going to do in the draft? And look at this draft. My God. Colton Miller. They called him Colton Piano because they were out there playing that dude. And it's sad to see it. Gave up the most sacks amongst all tackles. Third rounder, Brandon Parker, respect, but you gave up the third most. P.J. Hall, interesting enough, and Maurice Hurst at the defensive line positions, he hit. Those are the two young guys that show flashes. But when your number one pick is Colton Miller, and we covering the draft last year, we're like, wait a minute. Colton Miller? There were question marks. Is he the best lineman at UCLA, let alone your number one pick? So Chucky doesn't prove to me that he knows exactly what he wants in terms of this franchise going forward in evaluation and talent acquisition. But in terms of the ego, the good thing is I got 8, 9, 10 more years with this franchise. So with much ego play as I want to exercise and flex, I don't have to do it right now. You have time on your side.
Yeah, I understand with having the time, but it still circles back. Like I said, the salary that Derek Carr garners right now, if you can move him.
Yeah, that's real.
If you can move him and you can have Kyler Murray fall to you, because like I said, you said he's not going to fall to you. Man, if the Cardinals don't take him one and you don't hear any buzzing going about trading up between 49ers 2 and Jets 3, that's the perfect situation for him to fall right there to 4 for them. Trade Derek Carr. I think you get a lot of value for Derek Carr, more than the Cardinals were going to get for Josh Rosen. And then, man, your salary, you are in a really good position salary cap-wise to bring in some other players to help change that culture, because there's a culture change that needs to happen in Oakland.